Hey everyone, this is Brett Favre, Green Bay Packers Super Bowl champion, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packers content. Go Packers.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We are live on YouTube, Rumble, X. Here to talk Packers, here to talk draft, here to talk a little free agency as we are, 5 days away from the legal tampering period. We got Emilio joining us from Tennessee. We got Jacob in Wisconsin. We got Tim in a snowy Green Bay right now, which I think both you boys got. I think Jacob got quite the blizzard, and then it rolled in on you guys too, right, Tim?
Yeah, I got the tail end of it. It's going to stop snowing soon. Not nearly as much as Jacob got. Jacob, you got like almost 2 feet, didn't you?
It wasn't that bad. It was in my part of Hudson where I was, we got a good foot, maybe 13 inches. It was insane. And the plow didn't come to my house until like 1:30, so I was out there in the morning shoveling like an old lady.
Oh. You must have thought you were working the late shift at the office.
I was cussing, dude. I was. It's like Jacob first world problems.
At lunchtime. What a bad day that is.
Tim, I may have milked it a little bit.
I know you're wore out from driving, so it might just be that. But double check your mic; it's a little quiet, and usually you've got the deepest voice of us all. So just give it a glance. If not, no big deal. So there it is. Oh, all right.
Yes.
So we got several things to get into here tonight, boys. Obviously, we had a move that took place earlier with a tender that was put, not tender, the app you're used to there, Jacob. We're talking about a transition tag, I guess you could say, a player tender, so you know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. All right, so Zane Anderson returns to Green Bay. Minimal snaps, but played very well down the stretch for the Packers. Tom Pelissero tweeted out the Packers tendered safety Zane Anderson as an exclusive rights free agent per source. Anderson stepped up on defense amidst injuries last season, starting 2 games and recording his first interception. You guys know with his opportunities, there's not many people on the Packers roster that played better than him. He actually finished third highest according to PFF with an 80.8 PFF grade. We kind of talked about this early in the offseason. I'm glad Zane Anderson's coming back because when you look at the safety room, if Bullard is going to predominantly play in the slot, Keyshawn's going to stay outside. You've basically, who do you got? You got Evan Williams, right? You've got our boy Xavier McKinney, and then you'll have Zane Anderson backing those guys up. It seemed like he was third on that pecking order, and of course we got Oladapo as well. So I think this is a great move, and I added some information here. I went and done a little research. Exclusive rights tenders equate to a minimum salary. Anderson, who has only accrued 2 accrued seasons in the league, will make $1.03 million in 2025 if he makes the roster. The money is not guaranteed, so the Packers could still cut him if they find a better player at the position. So this to me seemed like a win-win, man. You're talking about $1 million flat for a guy who's your third highest graded player according to PFF. And I know it wasn't a whole lot of snaps, but it wasn't a tiny amount either. I mean, he played 122 snaps. So what's your all's take on that?
Psyched ever since we found out he's a real person, right?
Right. Let's say that.
And he proved that he's more than just a special teamer. Played a little defense for us, a couple of games we needed him to step up. He made some plays. So I think this is a no-brainer. This is, if you're not happy that we got Zane Anderson coming back, I don't know what to tell you. I'm pumped. Hopefully he takes another step too this season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the stronger part of our defensive secondary is the safety unit. So you might as well keep your floor, keep your base, know what you got. Like Tim said, special teams. And it's kind of like reminds me of that A.J. Dillon one. Obviously, it's not the 4-year sign him on a cheap thing because he's been on your team for all 4 years, all that stuff. But still, get the guy at a low price, set the base and keep moving forward.
Definitely. I love it, man. You guys know we were big fans of Zane down the stretch there. I thought he filled in nice. If he hadn't got that concussion, he probably wouldn't have gave that spot back there, and who knows what would have happened if Bull didn't have to jump back from the slot to the safety spot. I think that really did hurt him down the stretch there. Let's see, Jacob in the chat. Go ahead, read your own comment there, Jacob.
I think some really handsome bearded fellow said Anderson and Burns turned out to be real. What a great day,
Unbelievable, man.
Bunch of conspiracies coming true.
Hey, it happens, man. It happens. All right. The other talk of the day here, DK Metcalf officially on the trade block. I love that it was listed as he's officially on the trade block. I thought he already was, according to a bunch of different sources. And I know there's some people running victory laps saying, see, the guy's report was right. No, the guy was reporting that the Packers were willing to give up a boatload for DK, right? If I remember correctly. And that's what Matt Schneidman said. I asked around and there wasn't any merit to it. So it doesn't mean DK isn't going to get traded. It doesn't even mean that the Packers wouldn't be interested. It's just, it sounds like obviously he jumped the gun there and just assumed that the Packers were interested. What you'll see sometimes too is teams will give information to reporters to try to push that narrative along, right? Yeah. I mean, it's lying season. We say that for a reason. If the team goes to Corbin, whatever his name was, and says, hey, the Packers reached out to us and they're really interested in DK, even whether they didn't or not. My sources are telling me the Packers are interested in DK. If there's another team like the Patriots are rumored to be interested, they're going to go flying in there and that's just going to accelerate the process. You know what I'm saying? Amelia, you know what I'm talking about, man. You trying to sell 2 enchiladas on the street, you let them know, I got a guy behind you. He's ready to buy those enchiladas. Mm-hmm. You better get them.
Yeah, I'm buying them out. I mean, give me whatever you have left at that point. But it's the truth. I mean, you got to figure out the money somehow. And at some point, we get to the point of not having, we're worried about the money, worried about it. I think it can be done. Do we want him is the question. I mean, is it, it's like that Wolf of Wall Street thing. You're trying to sell me on it. I get it. But sell me this pen. The dude's trying to sell me the pen. Like, what do I need? I need a receiver. Do I need a receiver? Yes or no? Like that. Yep. That's where we got to be at.
He's got a year left on the deal, right? This is the last year of his contract, right? So if you're trading for him, you're essentially, a 1 year tryout, basically.
Yeah, that's what Spot Track has got tweeted here is trading wide receiver DK Metcalf. The new team acquires $18 million non-guaranteed, so that's the cap hit, $18 million. The dead cap the Seahawks are going to absorb is $21 million. That saves them $10.8 million against the cap. The 27-year-old will be seeking a contract extension, currently carrying a $27 million valuation in our system. So, again, Spot Track in the past, those numbers have come in a little lower than what players get on the open market. With the trade, I think there's a little less leverage for the player because not only does the team got to give up compensation, but they got to agree to the contract itself. And on top of that, I don't know, it's just I can see teams coming in around this number or a little lower than this number. My question to you guys is, what do you think? I'll start with you, Jacob. Would you like to have DK Metcalf for $18 million against the cap this year and then on average $27 million per year moving forward? And, of course, there's got to be draft compensation there as well.
No.
What is no?
Too old for this, basically said, yo quiero Taco Bell, no quiero DK Metcalf. I agree. Emilio, that was for you, buddy.
Perfect.
Somebody said in the chat, like, they don't see him doing a 1 year deal. I don't see that either. I don't want him to do anything above. I 27 million a year. No, I don't want to do that. Even if the introductory year is the 18 million. I mean, somebody in the chat, I believe, also asked what was the most. Yeah, Mick Knight here. He said, what was the most salary would the Packers pay for one free agent, not considering the other free agent or other years? I mean, that's a pretty wide based question, but I don't want them to spend more than $13 to $15 million on a single player in free agency. This draft has a lot of deep positional value, especially at the spots that we need help in. And I'd rather us do some sort of either trade back. If we're going to trade somebody, obviously, I hate saying it, but Jair for even if it's a third and a fourth or something like that, even a fourth and a fifth. I mean, I just would rather see us build ourselves through the draft again.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, boys, around the horn here. Tim, what do you think about it, man?
Yeah, I'm with Jacob. I listen, I've always loved DK Metcalf since he came into the league. Guy's a monster. There's no question that he's still got it, and he probably will have it well into his 30s. I mean, the guy's missed like 11 minutes of football in his entire career. He's always available. He's a monster. That being said, though, I'd feel a little bit better about possibly trying to make a move for him if this draft class wasn't so stacked at the receiver position. I feel like whether it's early or mid to late rounds, we can snag at least one or two in the draft if we really wanted to. And then, even if we don't want to go that route and we do want an established guy, there's a handful of names we've talked about before that are going to be, looking for new teams here. And I just think for the price and the way the contract is right now, I would say no at these numbers for DK.
Xavier McKinney, 4 years, $68 million deal, March 11th to 24. I'm not gonna push 17 million even for a wide receiver. X got 17 per 68 divided by 4. I'm not gonna touch anything higher than that if you're trying to get me to pay for a receiver. And like I said, I'd really like to be around 10, but I get it if you got to pay up to 12, 13. But I think that's a good baseline. If X is, top safety in the league, I don't think a free agent wide receiver that's upset that wants to leave his team, wants to, get out of there, wants to be out of there. I don't think he's getting paid top dollar. You're not holding all the cards there.
Yeah, and for me, it's real simple. Like, people were talking about DK Metcalf like he's a number one wide receiver.
Yeah.
He wasn't even the best receiver on his team. Like, JSM, this is the issue is you can't get everybody the football. And when you break down what he's done, and we talked about this about a week ago, I guess it was, DK Metcalf had 108 targets for 992 yards, right? If you took Romeo Doubs and you gave him the same amount of targets as DK Metcalf got last year, Romeo finishes with 908 yards and the same amount of touchdowns as DK Metcalf. So now you say, okay, if you're saying you got to choose between DK and Romeo Doubs, you can say, well, DK Metcalf, he's a greater vertical threat. I think he's going to be a better receiver. What are you basing that off of? And if the answer is my eyes, I'm sorry, I'm not listening. Like, you can't just say, oh man, he'd look good on the football field. You see how big he is? You see how muscular he is? Man, I love the earring dangling. Like, I want that dude. $27 million per year for basically the same numbers as Dobbs if he got those same amount of touches. And here's the issue is, like, how are you going to guarantee to get him the same amount of touches that he got in Seattle? If he gets the same amount of touches that Romeo Doubs got or Jaden Reed got, which is more realistic than him all of a sudden getting 110 targets, right? If that's the case, guess what? His numbers are going to be the same as Romeo Doubs, and everybody's going to be talking about, we need to fire Goody. This was a stupid move. That's exactly what the conversation would be. Unless you're foreseeing something for DK Metcalf that he's just going to propel himself into another stratosphere. And I keep hearing the other thing is, well, he's going to be playing with Jordan Love. Jordan Love's a way better quarterback than Geno Smith. Look at the numbers. It's not like Jordan is hands down way better, been way more productive than Geno Smith. Well, that's because he had DK. Then how come DK ain't running out here with 1,200 yards? Because here's the main issue I got with it. If you take those targets and you give them to DK, you end up with – this is what you end up with DK Metcalf. You end up with 108 targets, 992 yards receiving, and like 5 or 6 touchdowns. That's what he had last year. If you give Jaden Reed those same amount of targets, here's what his numbers look like. 1,244 yards receiving and like 8 or 9 touchdowns, more touchdowns, way more yards, like to the tune of 300 more yards. Oh, by the way, Jaden Reed's running the ball too. Like, the issue we ran into was Jaden Reed's targets went way down. And they went way down because teams were starting to kind of hammer down on him, right? We're talking about getting Tucker Kraft the ball more because that's the only thing. We broke that down earlier. If Tucker Kraft had gotten the same amount of targets as Brock Bowers, he would have set the NFL record in yardage, I think it was. Like, it's just, you got to kind of look at the picture as a whole. I think people just fall in love with names, man. And if this was 20 million, maybe 18 million, I'd go, you know what? Vertical threat, Christian's not going to be here. I could talk myself into it. When you're flirting with 30 million per year for a guy that's going to give you the same production that Romeo Doubs gave you, I'm sorry, man. I'm drunk to taste that chicken. I can't do it. Like, it's something's got to make. On top of that, you're giving up draft capital. Like, I don't know. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say I got 2 good comments just before the topic kind of grows old here. All Good says, which receiver in the draft class would you take over Metcalf? Now, Tim, you don't get to answer because we all know exactly what's going to happen here.
Jack
No,
Nash.
but honestly, Joey Bish. All right. Well, I personally, I'll steal Tim's thunder. Obviously, a guy that's 6'5", that's 200 plus, that can run a 4.40. That to me is a guy that I would take, not necessarily over Metcalf, but if I had to take a guy that has 3 to 4 years of a contract that is completely, pennies on the dollar, or have to pay for Metcalf, I would totally go with a Higgins. Is it Higgins or Higgins? Have we figured that out yet?
Higgins. Yeah.
Higgins. Okay. Pat Bryant is a guy that I like a lot. Obviously, we talked a lot about Jalen Noel. I think they're different types of receivers in that aspect. The guy from Tennessee that we talked about, Deontay Thornton, I believe is what his name was. And there's Torrey Thornton, I believe, from Colorado State. Torrey Horton. Yeah. And then Deontay Thornton. Yeah. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, for me, and I would get your all-state too. Like when you say which receiver in the class would you take over Metcalf, it's not a 1-for-1. Yeah. Like you're literally giving up a draft pick and $27 million in cap space for it, as opposed to not giving up a draft pick and taking someone that could be $4 to $5 million against the cap. You know what I'm saying? Or 6 or 7, whatever you call it. But Tetero McMillan, hell yeah, I would take him over giving up draft compensation and $27 million for DK Metcalf. Right. Here's a couple that aren't that popular, right? Emeka Egbuka. Yes. I would take him, right? Luther Burden. I would take Luther Burden over him and giving up the draft compensation and everything. There's several different wide receivers, and I know some people like Matthew Golden's another one. He's versatile, over 100 snaps in the slot, play predominantly outside. Those type of guys, and if the argument is, well, we don't need a slot receiver, Jaden Reed can play Z. So you can pop him out at Z, leave Dobby at the boundary X like we have, and rotate Dontavion Wicks back in. I'm not giving up on Dontavion Wicks. I'm going to laugh my rear end off if he comes out this year and returns back to his rookie year when he was the highest graded receiver on the team. I'm gonna roll if he comes out and fixes the drop issue, because I'm telling you, this is Davante Adams all over again, them trying to run him out of town that quick too. So if the price is right and you're not giving up that much draft compensation, if you're telling me it's closer to $20 million in a 5th round pick, you can talk me into that for DK Metcalf. I'm not anti-DK. I'm just simply saying we need to temper the expectations if we think he's going to come in here and be Terrell Owens. He's not Terrell Owens. He looks like Tarzan, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't played like Tarzan since he's been in the league. Go ahead, Emilio. What do you think, man? I get 10 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's just, all this comes down to projection, right? Where for 1, the draft picks, and 2, the player that you're signing. We're mad at Kenny right now because we projected that he would have been tearing it up and he didn't on his contract. What happens if DK, we project that we want him to be good and it doesn't turn up? We still spent $20 million on that. I'd rather project onto, someone coming out of college, give him 4 years on the contract and go. I think that, Goody said it before, having the talent come out of college with the skills that they have at receiver, you're playing 7-on-7 when you're like 5 now. I mean, they're always catching the ball, they're always throwing it. So I think it's a little bit different in terms of being ready. But I would go with a lot of receivers, basically all the receivers until Restrepo and maybe Tez in the top 10. I'd probably go with.
Go ahead, Tim. What do you think, bro? Anything else you want to add to the DK talk here?
I mean, obviously, if we're talking, draft crush receivers, yeah, Jaden Higgins is my dude for sure. But like I said, I feel kind of like Jacob does, man. There's a lot of talent. I mean, Ricky White, UNLV, Ty Felton out of Maryland. I think you mentioned Pat Bryant.
Trey Harris.
Yes, Trey Harris.
Yep. Clayton, you mentioned Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. I mean, there's lots of depth at that position group. I think I don't think it's as simple as spin around blindfolded and just throw a dart at the dartboard or anything. But I think you can grab 1 or 2 of these guys and move forward pretty confidently, regardless of how things shake up. You have a competitive receiver room at camp, and you go into the year that way rather than overpaying for good, like you say, Clay, right? I mean, Metcalf is a damn good receiver, but I don't know about the money here for him. So and like you said, giving up the draft capital that would go with it. So
all right, here's a little different wrinkle, and I'll just let Clay answer unless you guys really want to. But Johnny B says, saw a trade proposal that if McMillan, Tetaroa, drops to the 18th spot in the draft and Jaw and our 23rd for 18th to move up and grab him, would you do it?
Put my little mini cheese head on, boy. I would in a heartbeat. You kidding me?
Yes. Okay.
How about just 23rd for 18? Straight up, no job.
Well,
you're telling me there's a chance.
I don't know if we can get him to do it, Tim, but it's going to be a tough sell.
I tried it on PFF 3 times. Eventually, I had to force the trade, but it went
guys,
through.
you want to save a few $1,000,000 and trade back?
Throw in Max.
Took it out.
The other thing that gets me too is like you'll mention a prospect like we'll talk about it here in a minute. A latest mock, I believe it was from the 33rd team or maybe PFF. And it's like you got a young player that's 23 years old. He's too old. Okay, he's too old. But Metcalf isn't. Like, what do we – you know what I'm saying? Yeah, there you go, right? We know how Goody likes his – Goody DiCaprio over here, right?
No way.
I'm just saying for the right price, I would love to have DK Metcalf. It just doesn't to me. Here's the thing, too. You know what this also feels like? Go test the market. Go get trade options, right? Get somebody to find somebody that's going to give you the contract you want, and they'll give us the compensation we want. That's a hard deal to get done. So maybe, just maybe, there's not much there, and they decide we just want to part ways with them, and we get them for a 5th or a 6th round pick. That would be a lot better than, a 3rd rounder and obviously a contract of $27 million per. That's just, I don't know, man. And Chris Godwin, you guys know I've been very vocal. Chris Godwin has had better production than DK. And you mentioned that to some Packer fans, especially the younger crowd. And they're like, you're crazy if you think Chris Godwin's better than DK. Go look at the numbers. Go look at the numbers and get back to me. It's I'm telling you, you're falling in love with the dude who dyes his hair green, got the earring dangling. And I'm telling you, if you say, show me DK Metcalf's top 5 plays of his career, people struggle to find 5 plays. They'll find the one of him chasing down that tackle, and I love that play. Love that play. Probably my favorite play from DK. But how many times have you seen DK just dominate a game, take over a game the way like a Mike Evans does? Or, name any great receiver. How many times have you seen that happen? Tay back in the day, right, with Green Bay. You don't see DK take over games, and he's not even the best receiver on his team. And here we're gonna give him $27 million per. I don't know. It just seems off to me, man.
His receiving is tough.
If McMillan dropped to 18, wouldn't you think that the Seattle would have picked him anyway? Like if they're having a wide receiver problem, wouldn't they just pick the best wide receiver available and move on? You know what I mean? Get a new 4-year contract with a dude that's huge. He's a freak. He's probably not going to run the fastest, but it doesn't matter. He's a physical receiver. So I do think that, it's just out of the cards, really.
Now, to me, this makes a lot more sense. Okay. According to DraftKings, the Packers have a plus 190 odds to be Davante Adams' next team. The Chargers are next at plus 500, followed by the Niners at plus 650, Rams at plus 750, Steelers at plus 950, and the Broncos and Patriots are at 1,000. A reunion with the Raiders actually lands at like a 12-1 odds. So, we showed the market value for him was $13.2 million according to Spot Track. You don't have to give up a draft pick. You get a guy who can come in and teach these young receivers. That's the other thing. Look how many personal fouls DK Metcalf's gotten on the football field. And there's some fans who go, I like that. You do, you do. You like getting flagged 15 yards. I'd love to see that tweet. I'd love to see you live tweet during the game when he gets a 15-yard penalty coming out. Boy, that was awesome.
Those same fans are the guys that wanted to run Quay Walker out of town when he had the 2 most influential, personal fouls ever. By the way, Chris N with the super chat, 1 of 5. Have no idea what that means, Chris. But
we've already got a 2 of 5 that has showed up as well, Jacob.
I see that. So YouTube has got a goal thing, right, where you can like set an incentive for super chats. So what we said tonight was if we get 5 super chats, we'll do a 7-round mock at the end of the show, rapid fire. Well, so Chris Ann said,
we've got 2. Ron Sandville said, let's go.
You're running out of. You only got 16 minutes left to before the goal ends, so it is on a time.
Really
it is also on a time crunch as well. So I mean,
can I be real? I'm kind of hoping it runs out
Yeah. Wait, what is happening? What did I miss? I swear I've been on all the shows lately.
They literally just added it, I think, today.
Hey, thank you guys for the super chat. We appreciate it, man. You
Absolutely.
guys are awesome. And I don't hate mock drafts. I hate the reaction I get from them. Anytime I do a mock, my mentions blow up. I get emails, I get texts, and it's like, oh Lord, have mercy.
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead, Jacob, hit it. Now you're good, man. Will, I've never even seen this name before.
I've never seen this gentleman either.
Never seen it before.
Willin Al Swiderski.
Oh, come on, Josh.
Josh Martin with the fake super chat. That's a fake super chat, ain't it? Is that what that was?
I swear it is, right?
Is it
Is
real?
I don't think that one counted, Josh. I think it
He
has
just
to be
typed
$2 or up.
$1 into the chat.
I think it has to be 2 or up because we're still at 3 right now. So, no.
Get ready to go.
This show
What is
sucks so
this?
bad. Bates said,
Bro,
got a
it's been
special
so
request.
fast.
Hold up here, Bates. Hit him.
Duval.
Just the tip, though.
Get ready to go.
Oh, Bates, you're too
Oh,
kind,
wow.
man. All you guys. Will and Al.
Absolutely.
Will and Al's that's got to be the coolest name on the interwebs today.
Well, we figured out a way to make money on the podcast. Just
God, man,
Look
these
at
boys-
this.
Oh man, look at this. Jason Y in here too.
Yeah, we're doing a
Oh.
mock here in a minute. That's happening.
Do it.
Give everybody the shout out here in
Again,
rapid
too old
fire.
for me.
Jason Y, do it. Appreciate the super chat, buddy. Chris Ian said there's 4 or 5. And of course, 2-0 for this. Do the most unrealistic mock
I
ever.
like that.
Let's
Yeah.
trade back every pick until we're just picking in the 7th round. All right.
We're taking
Trade
32
all of our
picks
picks for one.
Tim's like, I got to go to bed early, boys. I've been on the road.
I was gonna say, I thought you said rapid fire. We're gonna have 37 picks in the draft.
Okay. Now it's getting overhand. Now we got Carly in here. 12 of this is donate this to science.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I can't take this. Donate to science. All right. So anyway, Tay may end up in Green Bay. I don't know. We'll keep you tuned. Evidently, we got to do a mock here in a second. So
Wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
that's right, Tay. Exactly.
Man.
A couple other things we had on the docket here before we jump into the mock draft. Obviously, we're going to be doing one. 33rd team put this tweet out. I think it's definitely worth mentioning multiple times. We talked about the yards per carry allowed. The Packers were tied for second in the league last year. Their defense, run defense, in yards per carry allowed. Well, the 33rd team tweeted out percentage of opponent rushes for 0 or negative yards. The Packers were not at only 22.5%, actually tied for 7th with only 22.5%. So, Hafley, boys, the pass rush makes sense now, don't it? That was the goal, was to get out there and let's dominate, stop the run, and make the team beat us through the air. And I think it panned out pretty good for the Packers for most of the season. So I thought that was a cool statistic. Another thing here we'll hit real quick, and then we'll jump into the mock in a second. This was interesting. As PFF said, landing spots for the top DBs in our latest mock draft. This may be a little hard for y'all to see. Let me see if I can zoom in here. So Travis Hunter went 3rd to the Giants. Jahdae Barron went 14th to the Colts. Jahdae Barron went ahead of Will Johnson, who went 16th to the Cardinals. Nick Emenware went 18th to the Seahawks. That's been, I'm trying to think what's the comp they've been using?
He's more of a safety, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a safety. I'm just trying to think of, there's a comp. Derwin James, I think, is the comp everybody keeps saying. So he should be a stud. Siobhan Ravel went 23rd to the Packers. Now, obviously, on our big board, Emilio, I see you've got it sorted here by corner.
Oh, yeah, you can switch it back.
Oh, you're good. So he's the 4th best corner on our board. We got Travis Hunter, then Will Johnson, then Jahdae Barron, then we got Siobhan Ravel. Is it Shaven or Siobhan? I thought it was Siobhan.
I think Siobhan, everyone I've heard.
Okay. Siobhan Ravel Jr. is sitting in the 27th spot. So I would have no problem with that as long as they've got confirmation. And if the Packers draft him, they will have gotten confirmation that he's completely healthy, right?
Yeah.
So I would be okay with that. He's an outside corner more so than anything else. Jahdae Barron's versatile, and Will Johnson is an outside corner. So I don't know. That kind of surprised me that Will Johnson fell below Jahdae Barron in this mock. Did that surprise you guys too? Because we got Will in the 12th spot.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's just it's that time of year, man. These things are going to happen. We're going to be off by a slot or two, but it is a little shocking, I think, because I think a lot of people had him pretty high on their boards. So obviously PFF sees that a little differently.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
And I mean, you know, if you need a nickel, if you want someone that's more versatile, you're going to go with Barron, right? Maybe you need that chess piece, and he understands it, right? Well, some of those comments he was saying, you know, you got to be more physical in the slot, you got to be a little more patient outside, all that stuff. Dude knows what he's talking about. So, I mean, if you find a guy, take him.
Yeah. All right. So again, rounding that out too, in the first round, Malachi Starks went to the Rams at 26, and then Maxwell Harrison makes it in the first round for the Ravens, 27th. Obviously, he tested really, really well at the combine, and his stock seems to be soaring right now out of Kentucky. Tim, I'm going to let you take this one, buddy. I need you to report on this for me. This is the last time we're going to talk about it. Thank God. So Ian Rappaport, breaking news. The Raiders are making star edge
Max Crosby,
the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL per me and Tom Pelissero. It's a 3-year deal worth $106.5 million with 91.5 guaranteed. That's almost fully guaranteed. What's that?
Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just pretending to be surprised. Go ahead.
There it is. Hey, that's a good guess there.
That's a good one. Max Crosby. Yes.
So anyway, Max Crosby is off the market. All right. Moment of silence for Max Crosby going to Green Bay.
I thought we were going to trade away
Tim,
all our
moment of
picks.
silence, Tim. Jeez, Pete.
It's disrespectful.
All right. Max Crosby. It has passed us by. Y'all ready to do a mock, boys?
Absolutely.
All right. We're switching it up tonight. All right. So get ready for this. We're actually going to use the good folks over at Pro Football Network. All right. You know, guys and gals were saying, hey, y'all should switch it up because we keep kind of getting the same picks, if you will, you know. So let's put this on the screen. I want to make sure that everybody can see this okay. Emilio, you got your board up?
Yes, sir.
Tim's got his cheat sheet with Jaden Higgins' name wrote down 5 times. We're good there.
Hey, I got more than one receiver on my list. Come on now.
All right, let's see. Can you guys see this okay? Are we good? Can we see that? All right?
Ooh, there we go.
There
we go.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I was cooking.
Real
Here's
nice.
the guy.
Real nice.
All right. So again, this is using Pro Football Network. It'll take some getting used to. It looks like we can click on the offense and we got the individual positions. Same thing with defense. And of course, special teams, they've got listed separate as well. So I've got to now be able to, all right, we're going to hit resume draft. We're going to go rapid fire. Okay. We don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but you guys did this. If this show sucks and I get hate mail because we did a mock draft live on the air,
Worth it.
We've
Absolutely worth it.
You got hold to the wrong stuff.
There you go. We're blaming the crackhead. All right. So here we go. Resuming the draft. Let's just take a quick glance back and say, oh, we got a trade already. No, sir. We're rejecting trades. All right. Reject. Unless it's a first. Look at here. Oh, hold up a minute. Philly is offering the 32nd pick, the 64th pick, and the 2026 second. I think we should stick and pick. Don't you guys?
Stick. They got to stick and pick.
Damn, Jacob got excited about over there. All right, so Cam Ward went number 1 to the Titans. Will Campbell, number 2 to the Browns. Will Johnson, a lot of Wills up here, huh? Will Johnson went number 3 to the Giants. Abdul Carter, number 4 to the Patriots. Mason Graham, 5 to the Jaguars. Shador Sanders goes to the Raiders at 6. Tetero McMillan goes number 7 to the Jets. Travis Hunter drops all the way to 8th to the Panthers. That's wild. Shamar Stewart went 9th. What do you think that means? What is this? What is that little?
It's a trade.
Okay, it was a trade. Got it. So the Falcons took Shamar Stewart with the 9 spot. Number 10, Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle, went to Texas. Was from Texas, went to the Bears. Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas, goes to the 49ers. Armand Mimbo, Emilio, he's gone, man. He's gone. He goes to the Dolphins at 12. Wow. Ashton Jeanty goes number 13 to the Dallas Cowboys. Ty Warren goes number 14 to the Colts. Tyler Booker goes number 15 to the Saints. Derek Harmon, 16 to the Cardinals. Colston Loveland, 17 to the Bengals. Siobhan Ravel Jr. goes 18 to the Seahawks. James Pierce falls all the way to 19, goes to Tampa. Mikael Williams goes number 20 to the Saints. 21 is Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State, going to the Steelers. And Jalen Walker, a linebacker out of Georgia, goes number 22 to the Packers. So we are on the clock, gents. What do you guys want to see first in this Pro Football Network mock draft here?
Trade back. Woo.
No.
I'm kidding. We can't.
D-line.
D-line. You want to see D-line. All right. So and here's the thing. The reason I don't like this over PFF is on PFF, you can click multiple positions and kind of create a mini draft board. This, you can only do one position at a time, from what I understand. So Tyleik Williams in the 30 spot sitting there from Ohio State. Walter Nolan, 31. Kenneth Grant, 35. Deion Walker, 52. So if we were to go off their board strictly, it would be Tyleik Williams, Walter Nolan, and Kenneth Grant in that ballpark. Emilio, looking at our board, how would we rank those three defensive linemen if we wanted to go three tech early here, man?
Kenneth Grant would be our highest.
Okay. And then
he's
Walter
at
Nolan.
16.
Yeah. And then Walter Nolan at 25, is that right? Or 24?
Yep.
And then it would be Tyleik Williams. We got Tyleik Williams down in the 38 spot. So
because they already took Harmon.
Yeah. And the difference between where Kenneth Grant is on our board and where Walter Nolan is on their board, I think I would have to go with Kenneth Grant here as well. That's defensive tackle. Do we want to see some other positions here, though? Jacob, who would you like to see, man?
I mean, honestly, I thought Walter Nolan right away. So other than that, I mean, you could take a peek at the wide receivers and see who's there and the cornerbacks maybe.
Okay. Wide receivers, we got Emeka Egbuka. We got Luther Burden. And then it drops off to Trey Harris. And the way we got to look at this is when we look at their board, that's showing us when these guys are pretty much going to be taken. You know what I'm saying, Tim? Like we look at the number they've got on them, it's like, okay, we got a little bit of time for like Trey Harris will probably be taken around the 43 spot, somewhere in that range. So
probably take a peek at O-line, interior.
O-line.
Yeah, guards and yep.
Oh, Gray Zabel.
Gray Zabel in the 34th spot. Go ahead, Emilio.
There's just a lot available because when I first saw all the players, I like that Imanwari was there, Barron was there, and Jahad Campbell was there. So I was almost leaning towards Goody taking another backer.
Okay. Yeah, Jahad Campbell in the 22 spot for them. For us, he's in the 22 spot for us too. So
What
if
about
we were to
corner?
we'll see some corner.
Barron's there too. I mean, like I would not be mad at Barron, but I could also think that he would take a linebacker. I don't know. That's tough.
This is interesting. So
I like
Jahad
there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
hold on for hope that Trey Amos might be on the board too when we pick again.
that's a good point. They're at 47. Yep. So we've got Kenneth Grant as our top available, according to our board, in the 16 spot. Then it's Jahdae Barron at 17, just right behind him. Okay. And then after that, Jahad Campbell at 22, linebacker out of Bama. And then after that, it would be Walter Nolan in the 25 spot. Receiver doesn't make sense here to me, according to our board, because Emeka Egbuka is the best receiver available, right? Yeah, him and Burden. They're both sitting in what appears to be the 28 and the 29 spot. So to me, it comes down to Kenneth Grant, all right, Jahdae Barron, or Jahad Campbell. Really, it's Kenneth Grant and Jahdae Barron, with Kenneth Grant being just slightly above him. They're in the same – this is what we're talking about, a cluster, right? So what would your all's cluster buster be?
We need a 3-tech. That's my cluster buster.
And it's the more important position too, right? Like we talk about that all the time. What do you think, Emilio, Jacob? I want to get your all's take. That's the two we're narrowing it down to. Kenneth Grant or Jahdae Barron? Who would you take?
I'd go Grant.
All right.
I would go Barron, I would say.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Plead your case there, Emilio. Why would you go Barron over Grant?
If we're really that far into getting rid of Ja, all right, he's got to go, then we need to replace. We do lean heavily on the nickel in our safety department, which is fine, but I think that if you had somebody that had that inside-outside versatility that could stay on the field and bump if he needed to, I think that would be perfect. I wouldn't be mad at that. And the D-line is deep in this draft. We've talked about it for a while. If we wanted to work our way back up in the second, or you drop down in the second and take something there.
Yeah. Jason Y in the chat said, who's available at edge? Nick Scourton is the top edge defender, and then Mike Green. Mike Green at 37, but Mike Green he would be in that category too, wouldn't he, Emilio? Because we got Kenneth Grant, Jade Barron, and Mike Green back to back to back.
Yep.
I'd hold on. He's probably going to fall, right? I mean,
ideally, this would probably be a trade back just because there's so many options. But we also we never put ourselves in this position to, running PFF all the time. So you get yourself into, there's a lot on the board here. There really is. And that's why all I'm saying about Campbell is that Goody's not afraid to take a backer in the first round. If everybody doesn't like Quay like they talk about, then all right, let's get a replacement for him that has speed and that, Jahad Campbell only went to the inside. He used to be an edge rusher. He only went to the inside because they had 2 first-round talent edge rushers at Alabama. So they asked him to, take a step back and play backer. So, I mean, the dude's a freak athlete.
God, that's a good
point.
What
if we traded back with Houston 2 spots? That would ensure we get one of those top 3 players, right?
Yep.
If we did that to 25, let's see what they'd be willing to give us. So they don't show us a meter. They ain't letting us cheat, are they?